Thank you very much. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Marcus Meakin, but I'm better known by my YouTube name, Count Dankula, which, if I had known was going to be popular, I would have chosen a better name. In April of 2016, I decided to play a prank on my girlfriend by turning her cute pet pug into the worst thing that I could think of, which was a Nazi. I trained the dog to raise its paw in a Nazi salute and get excited whenever I said a particular phrase. I wanted to upset her with the fact that her much adored cute dog was doing vulgar things. As a result of this, despite the police receiving no complaints, they decided to act completely of their own volition. I was arrested, kept overnight in jail for court the next day, and charged with hate crime. I then spent 2 years having the media trying to ruin and constantly interfering with my life, several visits to court with the prosecutor trying to spin a narrative that I am a far-right extremist who was secretly trying to spread my Nazi views through the medium of a pug. With the judge believing every single bit of that nonsense, and for me to ultimately be found guilty, given a criminal record and an £800 fine. A fine which I am refusing to pay as a matter of protest. And this was all because I made what was clearly a joke. Whether you find what I did distasteful or not, it was extremely clear that I was joking. However, the courts decided that the context of a person's actions now no longer matter. And I'm not the only person to receive such treatment from the police. Based Amy, as some of you may know, she's known on Twitter. She is a regular at the cherished free speech area, Speaker's Corner. She had the police threateningly thumping on her door, demanding that she open it, and being an elderly woman, she was terrified and so refused to open it, until she could fully establish that it was in fact the police. When she did open the door, she was immediately grabbed, manhandled very roughly, handcuffed and arrested, and one of the charges added to her sheet was for refusing to open the door and impeding the police. Even though the police themselves advise everyone, especially elderly women like Amy, to never open the door of your home if you have no idea who it is. Luckily, we have a video record of the entire event as she filmed it on her phone, and I do warn you, it is quite disturbing. Her original charge, the reason that the police were there in the first place, was because she said, "Have a gay day" to someone in a car park. And David McCarg of Glasgow was arrested because in the window of his own home he had a poster hanging up that said, "Fuck the Tories." During his arrest, he was denied his medication and had to go through the degrading process of a cavity search because he had a poster hanging in his window. And this is extremely similar to another case back in 2010 where David Hoffman was arrested in his home because he had a poster hanging in his window calling ex-Prime Minister David Cameron a wanker. Chelsea Russell, a 19-year-old from Liverpool, was arrested and dragged through court where she was found guilty under hate speech laws. She was given a restriction of liberty order where at certain times of the day she is banned from leaving her house, and that was reinforced by wearing an electronic tracking device attached to her ankle, and she was ordered to pay £500 in court costs and an £85 surcharge. Her crime, in remembrance of a young Liverpool boy who tragically died in a road accident, she posted lyrics from a rap song to her Instagram. As these rap lyrics contained the N-word, she was arrested and now has a criminal record at the age of 19. In 2016 alone, more than 3,300 people were detained and questioned by the police over posts that they made on social media. That's around 9 people a day. And with the police pushing for more and more programmes to further increase their crackdown on words said online, it means that this number is only going to get even higher as the years go on. And I'm sure I don't need to explain the massive amount of police time, paperwork and resources required to detain and question 3,300 people, with the figure only going to increase more and stretching our already strained police force to an unsustainable limit. Meanwhile, other types of serious crimes, mainly violent and sexual crimes, which can cause severe physical and psychological damage, is on the rise. But for some reason, the police have prioritised a person's feelings over their personal safety. So much so that the people of Britain now see our police force as something akin to 1984. And the world, especially... And the rest of the world, especially our brothers across the pond, see them as a joke. The police are supposed to be seen as our protectors. They are supposed to be public servants who are here to protect and uphold the rights of UK citizens. Instead, we see them violating the rights of UK citizens, namely the right to freedom of speech. As a result, we now have a population who no longer see the police as their protectors, but see them in the same way they would see any common criminal, as a risk to their freedom and a threat to their safety. I don't directly blame the police themselves for this. I blame the people at the top who have commanded them to go down this path. I've spoken to retired and currently serving police officers who have told me that they feel the once noble image of their profession is slowly being eroded away through no fault of their own, and they are powerless to do anything about it, as if they refuse to go down the path they are being pushed down, they would very quickly find themselves unemployed. Most children who dreamed of becoming police officers when they grew up probably thought they would be catching bad guys, gangsters and real criminals, all to the applause and admiration of the public. They instead have found themselves arresting people over tweets and have been subject to hatred and ridicule from a public that no longer believes in them. This absolutely must change. The police are a direct... The police are a direct representation of the state and of the laws of this country. If they end up hated and vilified by the public, then the public will in turn feel the exact same way about the state itself. And this is something that's already started to happen on a massive scale. People are losing faith in their own country. I want to see a police force that is praised and loved by the public, not one that is seen as merely enforcers of authoritarianism. The overall state of freedom of speech in the UK is extremely poor and is getting worse day by day. Constantly, I see MPs pushing forward more and more legislation to control what people can and cannot say, not on the basis of it inciting violence. I have an understanding as to why people would want to make such speech illegal, but on the basis that it might hurt someone's feelings. One of the most recent cases of this, put forward by Labour MP Lucy Powell, doesn't even go down the path of something said publicly, either in the real world or online, but she wants to police things that are said in private conversations. She wants to table legislation that would punish people for things that they said in private online conversations, ones that are actually closed to the public. Most people roll their eyes whenever you reference 1984, but it's very hard not to make that connection when you've got a politician advocating for monitoring private conversations. This is surveillance on an entirely new level. And with these MPs pushing forward such legislation, they have the support of an entirely new kind of left wing. I was quite far left when I was growing up. I knew someone was going to bring that up. And one of the last things that we would ever have allowed is for the state or corporations to have control over us. But for some reason, this new modern left is cheering such things on because they very naively think that such restrictions on speech and increased surveillance won't one day be used on them. And every day I see people supporting such things, every day I see MPs pushing for such things, and every day I see this country going in a direction that has the dark presence of authoritarianism looming on the horizon. And I'm not going to lie, it terrifies me. It absolutely terrifies me. I'm scared of what kind of world our grandchildren or great-grandchildren are going to be growing up in. How many generations will it take for the citizens of this country to live their entire lives without even having any concept of what freedom is, because throughout their entire lives they never experienced it at all? I believe there is a way to stop this. A codified British constitution created to protect the rights and freedoms of the citizens of the United Kingdom, with individual liberty and the protection of human rights being its primary goal. Some people will be against this, as they feel it will give racists and hateful people the liberty to say all the hateful things that they want. Yes, that is the price you pay for freedom of speech. You will get to say what you like, but you also have to put up with other people saying things that you don't like. I personally don't like hearing people calling our soldiers murderers and rapists. I don't like hearing people saying racist things with meaning. And I seriously don't like hearing pro-paedophilia advocates trying to justify why sex with children should be legal. Right? I find such opinions absolutely abhorrent, but banning people from saying such things doesn't automatically change their mind. It just makes them, they will still believe these opinions, they just now can't voice them. And that builds nothing but resentment, and resentment can lead to violence. This means that their opinions eventually go completely underground, become completely unseen, and some of these opinions can be dangerous. Even more so if these opinions can't be challenged. And you can't challenge an opinion that you can't see. The only way to change someone's mind is to directly challenge them yourself with reasoned argument. This is the most moral way to prevent harmful ideologies from taking root within our society, and it doesn't require us to sacrifice any of our freedoms. Some people seem to be quite happy, though, to sacrifice their freedoms and let the state deal with opinions that they disagree with, either because they personally lack the ability to challenge these opinions or they are simply too lazy. A free and fair society requires maintenance, it requires work and effort. So if you want a free and fair society, then that means getting up off your arse and putting the work in yourself instead of getting the state to do it for you. Giving up your rights only makes the state more and more powerful, and if you think the state is always going to be on your side, then you should have paid more attention in history class. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mark Meekan from Coatbridge, who you've heard something of his troubles over the last 2 years. Many of us have been following him, of course, on social media and on television.